was on like a TV special about a person, like a TV special about a famous person, and they delve into, their childhood, their career, or whatever. And I stumbled across, it's doing the contrast thing again, whatever. That's part of the show. It's fun. I came across this video about Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves and his, his sort of rise to stardom, and now his, still very well known and sort of, I don't know what you call it, not philanthropic, but I guess, just like this very human, very, very like down to earth, reputation, and it just like went through all of that and how it evolved, and sort of like, and it wasn't pretentious. That's why I watched it. It wasn't like this sort of hyped stardom shit, that you get so often, where they tell you how great everyone is and nothing else, and but yeah, whatever. He said something. Keanu Reeves said something in that in one of the interviews that was covered in the special, that kind of like did something, that sort of like, that's interesting. And he said, about playing the good guys or the bad guys, he really loved, he wanted more roles as the bad guy, and he explained it, that he's just, he playing the good guy is always like, he just likes to play. The bad guy is like, he knows what he wants. It's such an enjoyable role, because it's focused, it's straight, and it's like fun to toy around with that impact, on screen. And on the opposite side, the hero, when you play the hero, it's always like, oh, I don't know what I want. I don't know, I should try this. Am I in love with this guy? What's more important, my superpowers or my personal life? It's always like this sort of, I'm not sure about myself. I'm not sure what should I do, And that's really, I thought that was really fun and insightful, and perhaps revealing, because I was thinking, why is it that we, like, the villains in pop culture are way more like, I would bet that there are way more Darth Vader toys, like figurines sold, than Han Solo, or maybe Han Solo is a bad example because he's like in the gray area or whatever, but like Luke Skywalker, or like even when I think about the TV shows I liked as a kid, I liked Dragon Ball, for example, and I had my action figure. It was the bad guys a lot of the times, because of that was what Keanu Reeves. It's like, it's so, that's sort of the energy you get, when you're like watching a movie, like for example a Batman movie, and there's, the Joker, the Heath Ledger Joker, for example, or the new one, take your pick. They're so, like, they grab you, and they're cool and brazen, and like stand, they know what they want. They're sort of like, yeah, this is it. This is what I'm doing, and I'm absolutely 100% true to it all the time, and that's impressive and attractive. And even though, even though they're like doing very bad stuff, it's interesting how the dynamic works, because on one hand, the context around it, how that often doesn't actually, I don't know, work with that. Star Wars. Let's stick to the Star Wars example, right? I think for example, in Rogue One, if you've seen Rogue One, like one of the spin-off, if you don't know anything about it, whatever, it's fine. You don't need to know anything about Star Wars. But it's like, it's best word to describe it. But what he does is he kills a lot of civilians, a lot of people die. You know, a lot of it, like, maybe that was someone's husband. You know, does he have, we don't know, he flies out of the spaceship. Another one gets crushed against the ceiling and cut in half with a light. You know, and we're like, oh, this is so cool. And of course, I know, you know, it's an action movie. I mean, you know, I'm aware that there's everyone goes in there. They're sort of they just want to see cool stuff, and that's cool stuff. You know, Darth Vader being really mean and powerful. You know, and it taps into this power fantasy and sort of links. Especially in that myth, it links like very easily or very powerful force magic, you know, that's for the lack of a better word, very powerful magic with like the evil side, and it's easier to get there to that point, and on the other hand you have the good side, and that's more difficult to attain, but that's the more powerful in the long run. But I think they have trouble representing that, because, you know, we're back to this. What Keanu Reeves said. It's sort of boring to, you know, how do you show that really in a cool way, in a way that, you know, grabs you. That's as awesome as the Darth Vader killing civilian scene. But like the good guy does something good, and it's like awesome. You know, how many, I mean, to be honest with yourself, even like the big finales in a lot of like these types of myths, modern myths like Star Wars, Harry Potter, I don't know, I don't want to compare all of them, because they're all different in you know, context and blah 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 blah. But a lot of the exciting stuff is actually well, now that I've brought up Harry Potter, no, let's stick to Star Wars because I feel more comfortable with it. Like the coolest moments in this franchise are like the war scenes, the fight scenes, the choreographies, the action, and all that stuff. And all of that has to do with like, yeah, often like really bad, like there's just a dynamic that it has that's completely fine. But you know what I mean. You know what the basics I want to get down to is, how do you make like loving acts of love and art and imagination, and you know, all of this, like what you would connect to the good side, you know, like this effort that you bring into the day without really knowing where you're going, and you're still doing it, and you're still you know, you're not, yeah, you're just doing your best. How do you make that look cool? How do you make that look as like fulfilling as it is, you know, as it really actually is? Because I dug a bit deeper, you know, and if you compare like a mythical bad guy with a real bad guy, with like an actual like bad person that did something horrific, you know, which we're surrounded by that as well. You have all these Netflix shows about murderers and serial killers, and you know, like psychos, and they're all interesting because of this. Like, how is this possible? How does, you know, on that basis they're all interesting, but they also fall short of that same thing. How do you make that look as insane as it is, and not like, oh, this mastermind, or oh, this villainous, you know, manipulative? They always like put these like as if they have superpowers. I mean, in a way, yeah, I don't want to get that example out because I don't want to be depressing, you know. But I watched a documentary about one of these like very bad guys, and he was described by the psychologist, the you know, the psychologists from the police police that sort of works together with the police to make like a a judgment on whether or not that person is sane or not, because then you get different sort of, if this person is delusional or whatever, it's obviously a different thing than if he's completely awake and planned all of this and whatever. But you get the idea. So that psychologist said about this. So this person wasn't insane. This person, was hey, I lost the thread. Where was I? The psychologist. What? Okay. Hey, trigger time. I'm gonna figure it out. I did this before. I found the thread by doing some ASMR. Okay. Sorry. So I found a few possible threads. I'm not sure if I found the one I was on before, but whatever. So this psychologist, was I watched this. Apart from the documentary, a couple of interviews with that psychologist because she said some interesting things, and there was one moment where a filmmaker, a German filmmaker or Austrian filmmaker, was in the round, and he said, "Yeah, I'm not really interested in this person. He's like, this is inhuman. I'm not interested in making movies about inhuman things." And the psychologist really, she got a bit, she tackled back and said, like, I think that's very dangerous, this sort of language, because of course he's a human. What this man in question, I'm not gonna name him, did was incredibly horrific, but of course you have to, this is a human, I have to be interested in this human to find out what motivated him, what sort of, we find out more about ourselves if I find out more about this, really bad person, but a person nevertheless. I thought that was very important. I always, I hate that when, I was very disappointed in that filmmaker that said that, and then he said, yeah, I'm very interested in like this young, the woman that had to endure all of these horrific things that he did in blah blah. But just logically, of course, he is a part of that. He is a part of all of this, and it's I get it. It's sort of like this fatigue of, I don't want to. This is what I meant by all these documentaries about serial killers and stuff. Like, often they fail in doing this thing that the psychologist said of, like, really understanding, like, what is this? What is going on a bigger scale? What is going on? Like bringing all of this together. And of course, you find all of these, like, same old thing. Like, a lot of the time, they had a really shitty childhood and bad stuff happened and all of that stuff. But yeah, there's dehumanizing going on, and but yeah, that was it. Yeah, like when you look at these people, like when you really do the work or attempt to do as much work as you can, like this this psychologist did, of really looking at these people, you find that they're not cool at all, and they're not powerful at all. They just have like things around them, like a specific. They made it so they're in a environment where they have like a specific. They can do a very specific, like one trick, like the guy that I watched was like hiding his well, I don't want to go into too much detail, but he like hid a family member away from the other family members in a basement he had planned out. Like he, I mean, it's a very by this time you probably know who I'm speaking of, but I just don't want to. I don't want to advertise it. If you're interested in that stuff, you're gonna find your own. Whatever. Because so much is it boils down to the same stuff, to the same sort of resolutions and sort of motivations and stuff. But anyway, it goes back to this Keanu Reeves thing, really, and this dichotomy between reality and it's so attractive for us to sort of see this villain as like get it, understand it, and sort of tell myths around it. But the reality is just like really confused, like really people that are very stupid. I mean, even if they're intelligent and manipulative, they're very stupid. I think they can go hand in hand. That's also something the psychologist in that I watched said. She actually wrote a book about it called Stupidity, and in which she explained like it's not the same. You can be very intelligent and do things that are incredibly stupid. And yes, certainly, like this guy that the plan is crazy, and it's highly manipulative, planned out for years, insane on that level. And you'd think like, oh, this is some sort of mastermind, some sort of like mad genius, and far from it. This is just like they did this one thing, this like this is all they had. Like he built up to this point in his life for a very long time, and then that was it for some time, and then everything broke down, and now it's over. It's not like it's very stupid. It's very stupid. And something like that. That's what the myth of Oh, hang on. Okay. That's I made something. I cooked something. I made like a rice. Like it's like a milk rice, but with apples in it, and it's baked in the oven. There's more stuff. There's like eggs in it, and good stuff. I did good stuff, and that's the point. That's the point of what I like. That's actually what the myth of the Star Wars thing gets right. Like, the good side, let's say, is like that's more difficult, if you want to use the word magic, I only use the word magic for good stuff. I don't think there's like dark magic. I think that's something completely different. But I mean, whatever words, but if you want like evil in my eyes is, I actually did a video on this, I think. But if you take the yin yang sign, a lot of people would say like, oh, the yin yang sign, like white and black, good versus evil. Yes and no. I think what's really evil is if either white or black would be everything. Like if either or the other were like the one. I think that's like the real. And there's something about this concept, and it's something a lot of these people do. They actually cut them off from, they sort of off each other. And now you think, okay, how could it, if they're bad people with like these bad intentions and like they wanna, I don't know, they have like these urges, how do you do that? But that's where this part comes in. Yeah, that's the tough part, to confront this, to sort of tackle it and morph it, whatever happened like in your childhood, or to really tackle it. And that can be mighty difficult, but reaps way higher rewards. And I'm just thinking, why is it that this obviously good thing is so difficult to portray like in a cool way, and like really like, yeah, that's the hero, and that's the bad guy, this idiot, really, this tragic idiot in a lot of ways. And it's always the other way around. It's always like, man, like the good guy can't sort of get his shit together, and the evil one is like totally on point, and he's like really strong. And I don't know. I guess these like training sequences, they get the closest to making the good look cool, like when they sort of get into a rhythm and get it. But it's I don't know what it is. It's weird, and it's also maybe that's part of it. Maybe it should be like all of this making it look cool. Maybe that's a natural thing. Maybe that's the initial attraction. But I don't know. I don't feel like a lot of movies or like popular media does a good thing in it than actually making the villain look like how he should look. And that's where I come full circle to Harry Potter, because I think like they did that in a way that did a really good thing. They made like Voldemort at the end, at the very end, look like really like, oh man, that's a very poor thing actually. And not this all-powerful magician that everyone feared. It's in actuality, it's like this very poor creature that's just suffering and barely hanging on. I hope I managed to not be depressing with this, but I thought so much about this dichotomy of why is that. But I think I'm onto something. It's like part of the deal. I get that, make it cool initially maybe, but there needs to be some sort of a shift, maybe a bit, to really in the end make the villain look like you idiot, you idiot. And a lot of movies don't, even like Avengers or something, didn't do that. Like they built that villain up very well, and in the end I thought, yeah, but he still had a point. You didn't really, I mean, not that I'm on Thanos' side, it's just he made a point that was like really, okay, you now tackle this argument, and they never did, they just beat him, and that's not a good, just, let's say you are, I'm thinking about, when you're tackling or working on some stuff, and, you're like tackling these like really big emotions, or like really deep, and whatever it is, your dark side, your shadow, or whatever, you want to have good stories to guide you, and a lot of them fall short in that regard, and like really making you understand how much better the good magic is compared to like this trash, I'm gonna ruin someone's life for my pleasure stuff. I mean, this is obvious for anyone listening, hopefully, but if you're lost, it doesn't, the argument doesn't fly that, oh yeah, the good guys beat him, and that's why you shouldn't do it, because the good guys always, like, that doesn't, you know what I mean, you want to get to like a really emotional, like something that clicks emotionally, and not just, because we all say so, whatever, that was my, hey, I really got away, I didn't think I'd talk so much about this, but maybe there's a part 2 to this. I feel like there's there's a part two. I feel like there's still a lot marinating up in my head about this. I'm still thinking about this. But yeah, I gotta watch for this. I don't know what it's called in English, but it's really delicious, and yeah, that was a good. I'm sort of working on getting more rituals into my routine. Sort of like doing more cooking and like this. That's okay. I hope I wasn't depressing. See you in the next one. Maybe it's part 2 to this,